The HDB household shelter. That is actually the proper name, but we know it more commonly as the boom shelter. I know I'm saying it weird. I just don't want this video to be flagged. I just don't want the algorithm to go, hey, why are you talking about booms? Hmm? Let me flag it. So you might be wondering why we're here today talking about boom shelters. Well, because I'm chronically online and I surf TikTok a lot, I came across an account that does questionable construction services. Services that the government has explicitly said to not do. But before that, hi, I'm Pop Culture Boyfriend, thinking about your experience, always. Okay, before we dive into this, for the benefit of those who are not living in Singapore, we're going to explain what a household shelter is. So this website that you're looking at right now is the Housing and Development Board. The Housing and Development Board, also known as HDB, is a statutory board responsible for public housing in Singapore. Okay, so here they're explaining what a household shelter is. So since 1996, we have equipped every flat with a household shelter. So that means every HDB flat made before 1996, there aren't any household shelters. Oh, I almost said boom shelter. Designed to protect you during an emergency. I'm sure you understand what kind of emergency that is if it's commonly known as the boom shelter. The household shelter has strengthened walls, floor, ceiling, and a specially designed door. These must not be hacked or drilled. Certain finishes and fixtures are not permitted as they cannot be easily removed and may become hazards during an emergency. Lightning power point, telephone point, and TV radio outlet points are also provided in the shelter so that you can communicate with those outside the shelter. So if you can imagine, a household shelter is really just part of your doomsday prep. But a lot of us Singaporeans, because we feel so safe, we usually just turn them into storerooms, which is fine because it's very common. I've never actually looked in this page. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay. So this is what a household shelter typically looks like. So there's a ventilation sleeve right on the top, and this is the door. It's a really thick door. The emergency use, swing handle upwards. So you can basically lock it when you swing upwards or downwards. Peacetime, use swing handle downwards. Oh, okay. Wait, there's actually different. I did not know that. So during peacetime, we just swing the handle downwards. Oh, okay. So usually when it's closed, it's horizontal, right? The handle is horizontal. But if you want to open it, swing the handle downwards. But if you want to lock it, swing the handle upwards. I'm actually aware of this. I just didn't put the two and two together once I see a diagram explaining it. So as expected, a room like this will have ventilation, but of course no windows. And even though it has a ventilation sleeve, the ventilation is still not that great. And the ventilation plate, you're able to close it or open it. I've never tinkered with this because I don't usually spend more than 5 minutes in my shelter. Okay, so what are the common problems? Oh, okay. It's just troubleshooting then, just in case you cannot close the doors or the ventilation plates properly. Okay, so now that we're on the same level of understanding of what a household shelter is and what it's used for during peacetime, there is a TikTok user. Well, it's actually a company in Singapore. They are a contractor that does metalworks. And by metalworks, I mean like any metal thing that you need built into your home. For example, bed frame. And I'm sure as soon as I said bed frame, you know where this video is going. So they are a contractor that does metalworks to make bed frames in the home. And they have a lot of videos showcasing these bed frames in the household shelter. And after we've established that this household shelter is for emergencies, those kind of emergencies, yes, you can stay in there in an emergency, but would you want to live in it? But more importantly, is it allowed? A quick search online, you can specifically say, can I turn my household shelter into a bedroom in Singapore? And you will get the answer, not allowed. The reason why it's not allowed is because to maintain the integrity of the household shelter, you cannot do any alterations to it. Like hacking, drilling, removing the walls, the ceilings, the ventilation openings. Basically, you cannot turn it into a bedroom because there is not enough ventilation. But I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves here, so let's just look at the TikTok account and then we'll just go from there. The account we're looking at is Annie Wang 91. I assume Annie is part of the social media team. And by social media team, I just mean that one person who knows how to post things on TikTok. So this is Annie Wang's profile on TikTok. So she doesn't really have that many videos, but it really is a good showcase of the kind of services that they provide. I know we kind of jumped ahead talking about how they're helping people turn their household shelter into a bedroom, but we'll see the other legal ones that they do. So what they made here is basically a bed platform. Okay, so maybe they do wood as well. I assume because there's a piping on the side of the wall. That's why they went ahead and made a custom bed frame. Okay, that's pretty well done. I like how there's an empty space where you can just put your stuff. Oh no, they pushed the bed against the wall. Okay, that's pretty clever. I'll give them that. Their next video, this is kind of like one of those China ID videos. Okay, I'm assuming because they're showing this on their profile, they can create this, which again is very impressive if you want to maximize a small space. Again, another video. I'm pretty sure they stole this from somewhere. I've seen this before. Okay, for this one, this is like a small room, like a kid's room basically. Enough to fit a one bedder. I mean, I've had a bunk bed before. When I was a kid, I kind of miss sleeping in high spaces. But this is cool because you have your bed on top and then you'll have a desk below. I mean, if I'm a kid, I'll be busy doing homework, but eh. As a kid, I'll be doing schoolwork, right? But can you imagine as an adult having a loft bed like this? Man, I'll never leave my room except for when I need to pee pee poo poo. Okay, creating storage space under your mattress. Yeah, this is quite common in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. This is a really nice way to maximize your small space, but if you want to access your cupboards, you kind of need to stand on your bed. And personally, I'm not a fan of that. All right, another loft bed. Oh gosh, kids nowadays are so lucky. Oh, it's a double... No, it's a workspace with a whiteboard in between. Wow. And how big is that bed on top? Like 2 singles, I guess. No, wait. I don't know. What is this space supposed to be? Are you supposed to put bed up here or it's just like sitting on the floor like cross-legged? So it's a workspace. I'm confused. All right, so this one's a whole media console. I mean, this is pretty standard stuff. Having cupboards all the way up to almost the ceiling so you can throw junk in it. Personally, we don't like having high shelves because that means only I get to access it. My partner is not as tall, so yeah, no. Okay, what is this? Okay, so the beds, the single beds are in the bottom. So what is on top? Is it supposed to be the workspace? Yep. It looks like it's their workspace. I don't know. I don't know now. What are you supposed to do up there? That is too tiny to be called a desk. But, huh. I mean, I'm legitimately trying to understand. Okay, so here's my problem. Like, if we're making the workspace, like when kids can do their homework and all, on the upper bunk, they have no choice but to crisscross applesauce all the time. Yes, we're Asians, we can sit cross-legged for long periods of time, but is that really what we want? Unless you're saying that it's a third person that's going to be sleeping up there, then okay. But if it's a third person, the gap is so wide. Aren't they going to feel it if you put a mattress even? Okay, I think they're saying that they do curtains as well. All right, that's enough. Let's look into the stuff that's done to the household shelters. All right, this is a folding door, which they typically use for bathrooms, for toilets. And this is not a toilet. Oh, this is the boom shelter. Yep. Wow, they went ahead and made a separate door. You know, they didn't want to use the heavy door, they created a folding door. Okay, so they managed to attach a ventilation fan to the ventilation hole. That legitimately looks like a prison cell. Or maybe a prison cell would be better than this. No, that's a no from me. Okay, so this is not a household shelter, but it's like, how would I say this? This is the utility room where you would normally put the washing machines and dryers. They went ahead and installed a loft bed in the utility room. This is a very short video, like 6 seconds, but I'm just letting it loop over and over because my mind is just... Why? If I was given a choice of this or sleeping in the living room, I would choose the living room. Again, this is also a space that's not well ventilated. You don't typically have a ceiling fan in the utility room. It's not a household shelter, but still, same difference. Yet another loft bed in the household shelter. Wow, this one's like really tight. Oh, it just looks really sad. Oh, this loft bed has some shelves. I like how they put a little lounge chair in there. It's like, oh, if you're not sleeping, you can just sit there. This looks like jail still, but it's the type where you give the warden a little hush money and they'll slip some amenities into your room. I'm surprised they haven't suggested to put their own kitchen in there. So this video I actually duetted before in TikTok just to highlight that there are actually companies helping to do this. And I said that even though you could make a bedroom out of your household shelter doesn't mean you should make a bedroom out of your household shelter. All right, there's some serious steps up to your bed. Ooh, right next to the electrical box as well. Okay, now is that storage space for the whole household or for the person that's staying in there? A little clothes hanging space. Cute. More storage space. Probably where you put your shoes at the bottom. Now, because of the nature of this household shelter, yes, this looks like a bunker room. But is this really something that should be okay? Okay, so for this one, they just shoved the whole cupboard in there. I assume that it's also a cupboard that they've made. Oh, look, they've also installed a fan light. We actually have this installed in our main bathroom. It's very handy, for sure. I just don't know how I'd feel having a fan or light so close to me. I get that it's not an open blade, but I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. Oh god. Okay, so they painted it pink because Barbie, I guess. Man, this shelter looks even smaller than the others. The plot twist, there is actually no light in that room. It's because the pink is just so bright, it just illuminates the room on its own. Let me pause it right here. You can literally jump into bed from the door. You know that meme that happened a while ago? It's like, oh, you know how I can tell that you're rich? That your couch doesn't touch the back wall? This is like the extreme end on the other side of the spectrum. It's like, hey, you know how I know you're struggling? You can jump into bed from your door. So it's either you live in a storeroom or you're sleeping in a tent. Either way, very small spaces. Oh wait, this is that other room, but now it's fully furnished. Right. Okay, so it is a third person sleeping on top. You don't need that many stuffed toys. Now, I'm not saying that this problem is new. It is not. And if you look through Annie's profile yourself and look through the videos, the caption is usually that these loft beds in the household shelter are for helpers. Because who else would you be forcing to sleep in a room that's meant for emergencies? Not your own flesh and blood. I understand that there will be people who will say that they have no choice but to sleep in the household shelter. But if that's the case, doesn't that speak to a bigger problem? And that is a struggle that I understand because we've looked at rentals before and there are some people who have made bedrooms out of balconies. But at least the balcony has a window. And I feel like it's less terrible if it's your own place and your own family is going through the struggle of space. And by then you'd be going through it as a family. But for someone to hire a domestic helper, bring them from wherever they came from, to be housed in a storeroom because of the space constraint. It upsets me every time I see it. And in that case, I would rather bring up the argument of live-in helpers versus non-live-in helpers. Something very inhumane about the whole thing. Well, not just for domestic helpers, for anybody to sleep in the household shelter. Newer condos are even worse. Okay, granted, condos do not have household shelters, but I personally know people who put their domestic helper in the storeroom at the back when they had spare bedrooms available. And related to my last video, it also brings up the topic of how we treat foreign workers in Singapore. There are countless times where I've seen their employers go on this massive power trip. And you can sense it too, like this air of, ooh, I'm a boss because I have someone under me. I don't think I want to go into the whole domestic helper mistreatment that came out in the news. That'll be too upsetting and also too long. I understand that there are many people out there who do not have the privilege of space. What I'm not really happy about are companies who think that they're helping to solve the problem, but they're just perpetuating the notion that, yeah, you can sleep in the household shelter. I know it's illegal, but hey, shh. I wonder if this issue of living space would ever be brought up in parliament. Like, how do we tackle this issue of the flats getting smaller year after year? If the space is not something that we cannot immediately help, would a national education on how to manage your space better be better? Because let me tell you something. Hoarding is also another problem, and I would love to know what you think, so please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Is this a necessary evil? Can things be done better? Whatever it is, I want to know about it. But for now, that's it, and I will see you somewhere on the internet. Peace.